49 of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, at the bottom of the page, Sunday, June 17th, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna was resting in his room in the temple garden at Dakshineshwar. It was afternoon. Adhar and M arrived and saluted the master. A tantric devotee also came in. Rakal, Hazrat, and Ramlal were staying with the master, with Sri Ramakrishna. Master to the devotees: why shouldn't one be able to attain spirituality living the life of a householder? It is extremely difficult. Sages like Janaka entered the world after attaining knowledge, but still, the world is a place of terror. Even a detached householder has to be careful. Once Janaka bent down his head at the sight of a Bhairavi. He shrank from seeing a woman. The Bhairavi said to him, Janaka, I see you have not yet attained knowledge. You still see the difference between man and woman. If you move about in a room filled with soot, you will soil your body, however slightly, no matter how clever you may be. I have seen householder devotees filled with spiritual emotion while performing their daily worship, wearing their silk clothes. They maintain that attitude even until they take the refreshments after the worship. But afterwards, they become their old selves again. They display their rajasic and tamasic natures. Sattva begets bhakti. Even bhakti has three aspects: sattva, rajas, and tamas. The sattva of bhakti is pure sattva. When a devotee acquires it, he doesn't direct his mind to anything but God. He pays only as much attention to his body as is absolutely necessary for its protection. But a Paramahamsa is beyond the three gunas. Though they exist in him, yet they are practically non-existent. Like a child, he is not under the control of any of the gunas. That is why Paramahamsas allow small children to come near them, in order to assume their nature. Excuse me. Paramahamsas may not lay things up, but this rule does not apply to householders. They must provide for their families. Tantric devotee: is a Paramahamsa aware of virtue and vice? Master: Keshab Sen also asked that question. I said to him, if I explain that to you, then you won't be able to keep your society together. In that case, we better stop here, said Keshab. Do you know the significance of virtue and vice? A Paramahamsa sees that it is God who gives us evil tendencies as well as good tendencies. Haven't you noticed that there are both sweet and bitter fruits? Some trees give sweet fruit and some bitter or sour. God has made the mango tree, which yields sweet fruit, and also the hog plum, which yields sour fruit. Tantric: yes, sir, that is true. On the hilltop, one sees extreme rose gardens, reaching as far as the eye can see. Master: the Paramahamsa realizes that all things, good and bad, virtue and vice, real and unreal, are only the glories of God's Maya. But those are very deep thoughts. One realizing this cannot keep an organization together or anything like that. Tantric: what about but the law of karma exists, doesn't it? Master: that also is true. Good produces good, and bad produces bad. Don't you get the hot taste if you eat chilies? But these are all God's Leela, his play. Tantric: then what is the way for us? We shall have to reap the results of our past karma, shall we not? Master: that may be so, but it is different with the devotees of God. Listen to a song. O my mind, you do not know how to farm. Fallow lies the field in your life. If you had only worked it well, how rich a harvest you might reap. Hedge it about with Kali's name if you would keep your harvest safe. This is the stoutest hedge of all, for death himself cannot come near it. Sooner or later will dawn the day when you must forfeit your precious field. Gather, O mind, what fruit you may. Sow for your seed the holy name of God that your Guru has given you, faithfully watering it with love. And if you should find the task too hard, call upon Ram Prasad for help. He sang again, I have securely blocked the way by which the King of Death will come. Henceforward all my doubts and fears are set at naught forever. Shiva himself is standing guard at the 9 doorways of my house, which has 1 pillar for support and 3 ropes to secure it. The Lord has made his dwelling place the 1,000-petaled lotus flower within the head and comforts me with never-ceasing care. Now the footnotes say the body with its 9 apertures, such as eyes, ears, nose, mouth, etc. When he said, Shiva himself was standing at the 9 doorways of my home. Okay. And the 1 pillar for support is Brahman. The 3 ropes to secure it are the 3 gunas. The master continued, anyone who dies in Benares, whether a Brahmin or a prostitute, will become Shiva. When a man sheds tears at the name of Hari, Kali, or Rama, then he has no further need of the sandhya and other rites. All actions drop away of themselves. The fruit of action does not touch him. Again the master sang, as is a man's meditation, so is his feeling of love. As is a man's feeling of love, so is his gain, and faith is the root of all. If in the nectar lake of Mother Kali's feet my mind remains immersed, of little use are worship, oblation, or sacrifice. He sang another song, why should I go to Ganga or Gaya, to Kashi, Kanchi, or Prabhas, so long as I can breathe my last with Kali's name upon my lips? Then he said, when a man merges himself in God, he can no longer retain wicked or sinful tendencies. Tantric, you have said rightly that he keeps only the knowledge ego. Master, yes, he keeps only the knowledge ego, the devotee ego, the servant ego, and the good ego. His wicked ego disappears. Tantric, today you have destroyed many of our doubts. Master, all doubts disappear when one realizes the self. Assume the tamasic aspect of bhakti. Say with force, what? I have uttered the names of Rama and Kali. How can I be in bondage anymore? How can I be affected by the law of karma? The master sang, if only I could pass away repeating Durga's name, how canst thou then, O Blessed One, withhold from me deliverance, wretched though I may be? I may have stolen a drink of wine, or killed a child unborn, or slain a woman or a cow, or even caused a Brahman's death. But though it all be true, nothing of this can make me feel the least uneasiness. For through the power of thy sweet name, my wretched soul may still aspire even to Brahmanhood. The master continued, faith, faith, faith. Once a guru said to his pupil, Brahma alone has become everything. When a dog began to eat the pupil's bread, he said to it, "O Rama, wait a little, I shall butter your bread." Such was his faith in the Guru's words. Worthless people do not have any faith. They always doubt. But doubts do not disappear completely till one realizes the self. In genuine love of God, there is no desire. Only through such love does one speedily realize God. Attainment of supernatural powers and so on, these are desires. Krishna once said to Arjuna, "Friend, you cannot realize God if you acquire even one of the 8 supernatural powers. They will only add a little to your power." Tantric: "Sir, why don't the rituals of Tantra bear fruit nowadays?" Master: "It is because people cannot practice them with absolute correctness and devotion." In conclusion, the Master said, "Love of God is the one essential thing. A true lover of God has nothing to fear, nothing to worry about. He is aware of that the Divine Mother knows everything. The cat handles the mouse one way, but its own kitten in a very different way." Okay, we move on to chapter 12. The Festival at Panihati. Monday, June 18th, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna had been invited to the great religious festival at Panihati near Calcutta. The festival of the flattened rice was inaugurated by Raghunath Das, a disciple of Sri Chaitanya. It is said that Raghunath used to run away from home, secretly practice his devotions, and enjoy the bliss of spiritual ecstasy. One day, Nityananda said to him, "Thief, you run away from home and enjoy the love of God all alone? You hide it from us? I shall punish you today. You must arrange a religious festival and entertain the devotees with flattened rice." Since then, the festival has been annually celebrated at Panihati by the Vaishnavas. Thousands of the followers of Sri Chaitanya participate in it. Its chief feature is the singing of the names and glories of God and the dancing of the devotees in religious fervor. The center of the festivity is the temple of Radhakanta, built on the bank of the Ganges. The Master had been invited to the festival by Mani Sen, who was the custodian of that temple. Ram, M, Rakal, Bhavanath, and a few other disciples went with the Master in a carriage. On his way to Panihati, Sri Ramakrishna was in a light mood and joked with the youngsters. But as soon as the carriage reached the place of the festival, the Master, to the utter amazement of the devotees, shot into the crowd. He joined the kirtan party of Navadeep Goswami, Mani Sen's guru, and danced totally forgetting the world. Every now and then he stood still in samadhi, carefully supported by Navadeep Goswami, for fear he might fall to the ground. Thousands of devotees were gathered together for the festival. Wherever one looked, there was a forest of human heads. The crowd seemed to be infected by the Master's divine fervor and swayed to and fro, chanting the name of God, until the very air seemed to reverberate with it. Drums, cymbals, and other instruments produced melodious sounds. The atmosphere became more intense with spiritual fervor. The devotees felt that Gauranga himself was being manifested in the person of Sri Ramakrishna. Flowers were showered from all sides on his feet and head. The shouting of the name of Hari was heard, even at a distance, like the rumbling of the ocean. Sri Ramakrishna entered by turn into all moods of ecstasy. In deep samadhi, he stood still, his face radiating a divine glow. In the state of partial consciousness, he danced, sometimes gently and sometimes with the vigor of a lion. Again, regaining consciousness of the world, he sang, himself leading the chorus. Behold, the two brothers have come who weep while chanting Hari's name, the brothers who dance in ecstasy and make the world dance in his name. Behold them weeping themselves and making the whole world weep as well. The brothers who, in return for blows offer to sinners Hari's love. Behold them drunk with Hari's love, who make the world drunk as well. Behold, the two brothers have come, who once were Kanai and Balai of Braja, they who would steal the butter out of the pots of the gopi maids. Behold, the two have come, who shatter all the rules of caste, embracing everyone as brother, even the outcast shunned by men, who lose themselves in Hari's name, making the whole world mad, who are none other than Hari himself, and chant his hallowed name. Behold them. They saved from their sinful ways the ruffians Jagai and Madhai, they who cannot distinguish between a friend and an enemy. Behold the two brothers, Gaur and Nitai, who come again to save mankind. Again the master sang, see how all Naji is shaking under the waves of Gauranga's love. The crowd, with the master in the center, surged toward the temple of Radhakrishna. Only a small number could enter. The rest stood outside the portal and jostled with one another to have a look at Sri Ramakrishna. In a mood of intoxication, he began to dance in the courtyard of the shrine. Every now and then his body stood transfixed in deep samadhi. Hundreds of people around him shouted the name of God, and thousands outside caught the strain and raised the cry with full-throated voices. The echo traveled over the Ganges, striking a note in the hearts of people in the boats on the holy river, and they too chanted the name of God. When the kirtan was over, Mani Sen took Sri Ramakrishna and Navadeep Goswami into a room and served them with refreshments. Afterwards, Ram, M, and the other devotees were also served with the prasad. In the afternoon, the master was sitting in Mani Sen's drawing room with the devotees. Navadeep was also near him. Mani offered the carriage hire to Sri Ramakrishna. Pointing to Ram and the others, the master said, "Why should they accept it from you? They earn money." He became engaged in conversation with Navadeep. Master, bhakti matured becomes bhava. Next is mahabhava, then prema, and last of all is the attainment of God. Gauranga experienced the states of mahabhava and prema. When prema is awakened, a devotee completely forgets the whole world. He also forgets his body, which is so dear to a man. Gauranga experienced prema. He jumped into the ocean, thinking it to be the Jamuna. The ordinary jiva does not experience mahabhava or prema. He goes only as far as bhava. But Gauranga experienced all three states. Isn't that so? Navadeep, yes, sir, it is true. The inmost state, the semi-conscious state, and the conscious state. Master, in the inmost state, he would remain in samadhi, unconscious of the outer world. In the semi-conscious state, he could only dance. In the conscious state, he chanted the name of God. Navadeep introduced his son to the master. The young man was a student of the scriptures. He saluted Sri Ramakrishna. Navadip, he studies the scriptures at home. Previously, one hardly saw a copy of the Vedas in this country. Max Mueller has translated them, so people can now read these books. Master, too much study of the scriptures does more harm than good. The important thing is to know the essence of the scriptures. After that, what is the need for books? One should learn the essence and then dive deep in order to realize God. The Divine Mother has revealed to me the essence of the Vedanta. It is that Brahman alone is real and the world illusory. The essence of the Gita is what you get by repeating the word 10 times. The word becomes reversed. It is then tagi, which refers to renunciation. The essence of the Gita is, O man, renounce everything and practice spiritual discipline for the realization of God. Navadip, but how can we persuade our minds to renounce? Master, you are a Goswami. It is your duty to officiate as priest in the temple. You cannot renounce the world. Otherwise, who would look after the temple and its services? You have to renounce mentally. It is God himself who has kept you in the world to set an example to men. You must resolve in your mind 1,000 times to renounce the world, but you will not succeed. God has given you such a nature that you must perform your worldly duties. Excuse me for a second. Krishna said to Arjuna, "What do you mean? You will not fight. By your mere will, you cannot desist from fighting. Your very nature will make you fight." At the mere mention of Krishna and Arjuna, the master went into samadhi. In the twinkling of an eye, the body became motionless and his eyelids became transfixed, while his breathing could scarcely be noticed. At this sudden transformation, Navadip and his son and the other devotees looked at the master in mute wonder. Regaining partial consciousness, he said to Navadip, "Yoga and Boga, you Goswamis have both." At this sudden transformation, Navadip and his son and the other devotees looked at the master in mute wonder. Regaining happening? Partial consciousness, he said to Navadip, "Excuse me, what's happening?" Yoga. You Goswamis have both. Can you all hear me still? Yes. Okay. You Goswamis have both. Now your only duty is to call on God and pray to him sincerely. O God, I don't want the glories of thy world bewitching Maya. I want thee alone. God dwells in all beings undoubtedly. That being the case, who may be called his devotees? He who dwells in God, he who has merged his mind and life and innermost soul in God. The master returned to the sense plane. Referring to his samadhi, he said to Navadip, "Some say that this state of mine is a disease. I say to them, how can one become unconscious by thinking of him who is consciousness, whose consciousness has made the whole world conscious?" Mani Sen said goodbye to the invited Brahmins and Vaishnavas with suitable gifts of money. He offered 5 rupees to Sri Ramakrishna. The latter said that he could not possibly accept any money, but Mani insisted. The master then asked him in the name of his guru not to press him. Mani requested him again to accept the offering. Sri Ramakrishna asked him, in a distressed voice, whether he should take the money. The disciple made a vehement protest and said, "No, sir, by no means." Friends of Mani Sen gave the money to Rakal, requesting him to buy some mangoes and sweets for the master. Sri Ramakrishna said to M, I have definitely said to Mani that I could not accept the money. I feel free now, but Rakal has accepted it. His is now the responsibility. Sri Ramakrishna, accompanied by the devotees, took a carriage to return to Dakshineshwar. They were going to pass the temple garden of Mati Seal on the way. After a long time, the master had been asking M, to take him to the reservoir in the garden in order that he might teach him how to meditate on the formless God. There were tame fish in the reservoir. Nobody harmed them. Visitors threw puffed rice and other bits of food into the water, and the big fish came in swarms to eat the food. Fearlessly the fish swam in the water and sported there joyously. Coming to the reservoir, the master said to M, look at the fish. Meditating on the formless God is like swimming joyfully like these fish in the ocean of his bliss and consciousness. And next time we're going to start a new day, so I think we'll stop there. Are there any questions or anything people wanted to comment on what we had just read? John? You just muted again.
You used the phrase kirtan. What is a kirtan?
Kirtan. It's a singing group. They sing over and over the names of God. Okay. It's nice to see you, Sarah. Okay, tomorrow we will have Swami Maidananda. I think it's only the second time he's come up here to Santa Barbara. And he'll be giving the talk, Infinite Faiths, Infinite Paths. Wednesday we'll have the Subodhananda book. Next Saturday we will not have a reading because it's Swami Vivekananda's birthday. And we will be having, will we Zoom breakfast? I think we're Zooming breakfast, which is at 7 a.m., and we read the Kathopanishad during his breakfast. Then the puja will be at 11 a.m., home fire 12:45, and prasad lunch in the convent. And everyone's invited to come to the puja or be online. So that's what's happening this week.
Okay.
And I think I'll give an update. Frajaprana is doing fine. She's in rehab now.
Oh, that's good news.
Yeah,
Oh.
so. Okay. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.